Thank you all for tuning in. I am Lysander.
And I'm Coda.
And today we're going to be covering the First Legion.
It's a First Legion.
Known as the Dark Angels.
This is Dark Angels.
With their Primarch. Dude, you're going to piss off every German. Jesus Christ. The First Legion.
It's a First Legion.
Known as the Dark Angels with their Primarch, Lion Jonson.
What's that? Primarch, Lion Jonson.
As usual, Warhammer is a lot, so I'll skip over some things in the sake of keeping this video under 8 hours. I'm not joking.
It's gonna be close though.
I had to read a lot.
Have you seen like some of those 8 hour? Like I cannot for the life of me remember this YouTuber's name.
Luton. The answer is Luton.
Luton?
He does wonderful videos. I'm kind of jealous.
Not on Warhammer.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, it's
Luton's great though. I've literally fallen asleep to his videos. Oh.
I think I've...
Man has a voice like butter.
Smooth. No.
Different. Hold on. Speaking of a voice like butter, I have my favorite comment. It does not matter what you're going to say. This is far more important. Somebody said, and I quote, "I love listening to this podcast. Your voices are like whipped cream and... No, hold on. I love listening to this podcast. Your voices are like whipped cream and cotton candy."
Oh.
And I was like, oh my goodness. This is not good for me.
Thank you.
Oh my God. I saw that. I was like, you, sir, have made my day. You have literally made my day. I was like, I didn't know I was like that, but I guess I'm that guy.
Yeah.
I guess I'm that guy.
We're that guy?
We are that guy.
Yeah, comrade.
We. But yeah, in the interest of keeping this under 8 hours, we're going to skip some things.
Still wanted to say something.
Hey, go on.
There's a YouTuber that like I saw a couple months ago. I tried to watch all their videos, but like I have the attention span of a goldfish. Oh no, I'll give myself a little bit more credit. I have the attention span of a rat. So like I can pay attention for a couple minutes, but after a little bit I'm like, boo. But like this dude had like 9 to 12 hour long in-depth, like every single nook and cranny that exists analyses of Skyrim and Oblivion. And all I have to say is sir, I cannot watch your full videos, unfortunately, but you have brought upon yourself an undertaking that I did not think possible. Honestly impressive. More impressive is how the hell your computer rendered all that video. My computer has trouble rendering like the hour-long videos that we do.
I just wanted to start by thanking you guys for being absolutely awesome in the comments. You guys have been shoring up a ton of stuff. Like I say, I can't get to everything because there's a lot to Warhammer.
It would be an 8 hour
video. You guys have been doing a great job of filling in the cracks, answering any questions, and adding way more detail. So I want to thank you for being you, right? And then I also want to be fully honest. This was not on my slate. Because we were working through the community polls and the comment requests like we'd been doing, but then Games Workshop decided to come out with a banger.
Yeah.
So we've derailed a bit, but we'll be on track soon enough because something major has happened, right?
Yes.
Time has moved forward, and with it comes the return of a Primarch.
Yes.
But to understand why this is such a big deal, we need to tell the story of his legion and why he's such an awesome figure to come back, right? But before we get into that, we need your help.
We need your help.
We need to choose our next video. And like last time, same rules. I'm going to give you 4 options. The top 3 get made. Last one gets cut off. Poor Chaos.
Oh,
Poor Chaos. They deserved it. They were so close to inching it out. Yeah. But the options this time are a breakdown of the Guard / Astra Militarum. Chaos, because I felt bad for them. I really want to do Chaos.
Just throw them back into the voting pool.
A quick run through on everything going on in the current era. Like
See?
It's called Era Indomitus, right? Or a deep dive into Sanguinius and the Blood Angels. So again, your options are Guard, Chaos, snapshot of 40k right now, like literally what's going on right now, and then Sangi and his legion.
Sorry, you said what's going on right now, and all I could think of is that one clip from the Mickey Mouse show where he just like runs through a street, goes, "What happened?"
Pretty much. That's what I was gonna be. What happened?
What happened?
Yeah. So leave your votes in the comments below. May the biggest fandom win. Ooh. It's gonna be spicy. I'm gonna admit it. I want chaos. I want chaos so bad.
You've just got chaotic energy.
They were inched out by the Necrons.
He's chaotic evil.
You don't understand how close it was. The votes were neck and neck. The orcs swept.
I did see
was an orc sweep.
I did see the voting poll.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah.
No, I counted the votes on the poll, on the comments, everywhere.
Across all.
Yeah.
No, I do remember that. That was
God, it took so long.
That was a whole day endeavor of just like tallies.
And I'm gonna do it again for you. So the voting ends next Friday, the 14th of April.
Thank God
so
it's not
get
Friday
your
the
votes
13th.
in. Right? Secondly, if you haven't already, please go check out our Patreon, where you can help us keep producing this wonderful podcast and chasing the dream. By joining, you get priority on all fan-submitted content, an extra episode every week. This week, we covered the Black Templars and Sigismund. It's awesome. You should go check it out.
It really was awesome.
And all kinds of other perks. We're currently working on our first ever Patreon goal of 100. If we hit that, not only does a Discord appear out of thin air.
Magically.
Right? I know.
Where'd it come from?
But we are currently behind the scenes working on a limited edition first founding patch designed by the both of us, right? This is the only way to get one. It'll be shipped out to patrons exclusively, and once it's done, it's done. We're never making it again.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a one-off as a thank you for kind of being the first in the breach. So far, a lot of you have already showed up.
Yeah.
Which, God, thank you guys so much.
Yeah, it's just because, I mean, we'd not posted the link for that anywhere. We just mentioned it in a video once. It was a 30-second oh yeah, we're doing this. Some of y'all just looked for it.
Some of you turned on and
some of you
found
activated Russian sleeper agents and went,
I've got you in my sights.
I've got you in my
right? So you guys,
we genuinely appreciate that. That's thank you so much.
Yeah. So for those of you that are already there, thank you. We will do a Patreon thanks card at the end of the episode, right? And for those of you who are considering it, please go over to patreon.com/Isander and Coda, right? Lastly, you've all been amazing about sharing, commenting, and liking the episode, so we appreciate your efforts as we fight the machine gods, right? We're inching closer and closer to a goal of 10K. I mean, you guys are committed, and I appreciate it. So let's keep that up. For you amazing audio listeners, keep subscribing with that auto download and leave us a review. Obviously, 5 stars is preferred. But however you feel, say it with chest, because I respect that. Tell me where you stand, because it does help. Genuinely, I want you to know that while I cannot respond to all of the comments
because there have just been loads.
And I want you to know that I do read through them. I read through a lot of them, and any feedback you give goes directly into the podcast. If you want somebody seen, leave it in the comments. Sigismund and the Black Templars only got made because so many people asked.
Yeah.
Right? So please, even if it's on the poll, put it in the comments. I read them. Right? And now
those suggestions definitely help.
Before
the other thing that I wanted to mention is the patches we were talking about. I have the denim jacket. I think I've worn for a couple of videos. I do plan on just patching the hell out of that thing. So you will see the patch probably on the chest area somewhere. Yeah.
And don't worry, we're crushing goals. That's just how we move here. That's how we move in this household. We're gonna crush goals. There will be more rewards.
Yeah.
So if you can't now, that's fine. Know that there's more coming on the horizon. I won't stop because I'm genuinely passionate about this. I was talking to him about this earlier. It's really nice to have this place where I can kind of offload about this because it helps. It helps so much. Because before, I'd just lecture my friends for hours on end. That's how it works.
Mostly me, which is why I decided to join on for this.
I was just doing this for free.
I'm already doing it. Might as well.
And that's why I love this so much, because I would do it for free. I am doing it for actually less than free. And it's nice that you guys are wanting to see more of it. And I want you to know I will keep making more of this.
Oh, yeah. Right?
But now, without further ado, further thanks to you guys for being just absolutely awesome. Let's start at the before the beginning.
Oh, not the middle.
Before the beginning this time.
Before the beginning? We're doing the prequels?
Yeah, we're doing prequels. Because to properly understand the Lion, we have to set the stage for him.
Yeah.
As we go through, you're going to wonder, wait a minute. Even for a Primarch, he's a bit absurd at times. You'd kind of be right. But it's for a good reason. He wasn't the first found, But he was the first created by the Emperor. Right? Throughout the books, it's heavily implied that the Lion and his legions are the ones most like the Emperor personality-wise. Kind of like how Lorgar really looks like a young Emperor. The Lion and his legion kind of act like him, right? This is kind of backed up when, in various books, Lion's legion are the ones who the Emperor turns to and talks to.
Yeah.
Kind of like, not equals, because he doesn't talk to anybody as equals, but like confidants.
Yeah, just
right?
like I can trust you.
And
you
even-
know how I operate because you operate like me.
Yeah, and even admitting to them when victories were BS spin, just to like sate the other Primarch's egos, like when they beat the orcs, which we covered in our last video. They did not. Spoiler alert: nobody ever beats the orcs.
They're the unending tide.
So just keep that in mind as we go through, right? You know the deal by now.
The only way you deal with the orcs is copium.
Just hold on, I can get her. That's the only thing you can do. Whenever you see an orc Y, just I just need that sweet copium. Or yelling bang at them and hoping they fall over. That works too.
I wonder if people have tried yelling Daka Daka back at them and seeing what happens.
God only knows, right? But yeah, keep that in mind as we go through the way they behave like the Emperor, right? By now, you know the deal. But for those of you who are new, welcome. The Primarchs were created, 20 sons, each after the Emperor.
Yes.
Chaos grabbed them.
Shot them somewhere else.
Yep, all over the place, right? And that's where we catch up with the Lion, where he landed on the planet of Caliban.
Caliban, I've heard Caliban somewhere else. No, Caliban is the name of the AI from an obscure roguelike game called Crying Suns.
He landed on the planet of Caliban, where he proceeded to fight for his life and hunt monsters for the first 10 or 150 years of his life.
He's playing Monster Hunter for 150 years?
It's 10.
That's
It's
a dream
10.
right there.
That's right. As a kid, he didn't interact with anything that didn't have razor-sharp teeth, trying to end him until he was at the ripe age of 10 or 150.
Was he carving them up and turning them into big swords?
No, he was just kind of surviving.
Oh.
Yeah. It's kind of unclear how long it really was. We used to think 10 for a while, but one of the book's researchers bring up the possibility that he was alone for far longer than we thought.
Well, yeah, the series is about 20 years, which is a bit longer than... Yeah, I think the first game released on PS1.
The Lion, you dipstick. Yeah, and at 10 or 150, God knows, after some time, he has his first encounter with people who are this roving band of knights. And at first, they know they live on a death world.
Did they say ni?
No.
No. Do they also say...
Do you know how many books the Lion features in?
Oh, a lot?
So many.
So many?
So many.
So many?
Yeah.
And there are no knights who say ni?
No, not one. These are just knights of old.
Oh. Do they go on a search for the Holy Grail?
No.
Okay.
They just fight for their lives.
Oh.
Because it's a death world.
It's but a flesh wound.
No. They're eaten whole. Usually screaming. Because it's a death world. Anyway. They find this kid. And obviously, for the reasons I just listed, they're like, oh, you're a monster. Cool. We're just going to kill you where you stand. Because nothing human could survive out here.
Yeah.
That's literally impossible.
Especially a 10 or 150-year-old.
Yeah. Well, he still looked like a kid. Right? But thankfully, and I'll be honest, this is for them, because I doubt they would have been able to kill the Lion.
Yeah.
Right? A guy from the band named Luther.
Lex?
Nope, just Luther. Remember him, though. He's kind of important.
Martin?
Stopped this and vouched to bring the kid back to the forest monastery. He basically vouched for the kid and was like, whoa, stop.
Hold on.
Yeah, what if he is just a kid, though, guys? Come on.
Yeah, what if he is just a kid?
He could be that cool, right? And so he vouched for him, right? This guy Luther. And they brought him back to the forest monastery, where they named him Lion L. Jonson.
Lion L. Jonson.
Which means Lion, Son of the Forest.
Okay.
Which is a wonderful side tangent that leads me to how language works in 40k.
Yes.
This brings me so much joy.
Yeah, 'cause how the hell does L. Jonson.
We're going to get to that.
The forest.
We're going to get that.
Okay.
There are two languages people speak in 40k. The first is High Gothic. For all intents and purposes, just imagine it like modern English, right? Mostly useful with some archaic rules and a ton of room for flower in language.
Yeah.
Right? That's what most of humanity spoke before the bad things happened.
The bad things happen?
Yeah, and it's what the Emperor and most Primarchs speak. Right? But due to the bad things happening,
The
language eroded a lot. It got simplified and beaten into the ground to where it's referred to in canon as a complete bastardization of the language. Yeah. No, that's actually what they refer to it. I'm not even swearing for the hell of it.
Does it just sound like a Middle English or something?
Kind of. This is Low Gothic. And it's so far from what High Gothic is that if you speak high around people, they may duck and cover out of fear.
Oh.
Because you're like, oh my god, you're casting some ancient spell. No joke, it's the language that their priests use when they're praying over items, right? And the only other place you hear that is from the Emperor himself, his sons, and the super duper rich.
Okay, so I can see how that's, like, intimidating.
Yeah, right? So think of it as a way to show off, like, you're either mystical, immortal, or rich, what's the difference? Right? I say all that to say that I find it so amusing that in Low Gothic, lion means lion, L means the, and John means forest. It is so stupid. Because that means it wasn't a forest monastery, it was a John monastery.
It's a John monastery.
Right? So, God, it's so dense.
They were hanging out in the John.
Yeah, they're hanging out in the John. They're campaigning through the Johns, right? But back to Mr. John Force, man.
Hold on, you're a little British. You know what the John is?
No.
It's like the British version of bog.
Oh, dear.
It's the toilet. The John.
Anyway, back to...
Lions, son of the toilet.
Back to the lion. Now that he had all of his GQ essentials together of a name and clothing, he proceeded to do what any Primarch would do in his place and crusade across the planet, scouring all the beasts from it.
Classic.
Right? But not without Luther's help, right?
Yeah.
See, the lion was not and is not the most sociable Primarch.
Yeah.
Not only because of the whole being alone with beasts trying to murder you for your formative years bit, but also because during that time, Chaos was doing its level best to convert him. It was constantly plaguing his dreams and his every waking moments with threats, promises, and horrors beyond comprehension.
So this was like a Jesus in the middle of the desert for 40 days thing, and Satan was just like, hey, look, I got like a thick butt or something. Tempting him in the desert.
Amazingly enough, all that didn't break him,
Yeah.
but it did leave him weird. Effective, but weird.
Weird.
Right? Luther, on the other hand, was always that guy. Right? He understood a good plan is wonderful, but at the end of the day, it's your men that win the war. Right?
Yes.
So this leads to a really good yin and yang of like a guy who the troops actually love, Luther, and then a guy who's just brilliant at combat,
Yeah.
the lion. Right? Suffice to say, those two together, Caliban didn't stand a chance.
Yeah.
Right? They ran that town.
They conquered.
But slowly, because the lion's a Primarch, he began to overshadow Luther. Right? I mean, the beasts of the planet started referring to him as the Nightmare. And were sending... yeah.
To be so scary that the
Beasts on a death world.
Beasts on a world of death are like, nightmare.
Right? And they started sending stronger things specifically to break the lion. Right? And nobody else. Kind of just spoke for itself, right? But like every Primarch, even with their level best attempts, he tamped it all down.
Yeah.
Right? Just in time.
We're getting Doomslayer vibes from this guy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, big boy. Yeah. And he did all this just in time for Dad to show up and ask how he was doing on his homework. And the Emperor was very impressed. Right? He was a big fan of this. He's like, okay,
Yeah.
I see you.
Good job. Good job.
But the natives of Caliban weren't as impressed with the Emperor. Like I said, they're knights of old, right? Then this guy comes in, sword of flame, literal halo above his head, and starts rapidly industrializing your planet.
Oh, fun.
Just slaughtering all the fauna and chopping down all your precious, beautiful Johnsons.
And the I assume the knights were just like, no, we enjoyed this torturous hellscape. How dare you change it into an industrial planet?
And then, on top of all that, He then tells you that there's this crusade across the stars that's apparently more important than whatever little things you guys got going on around here.
Whatever little thing.
Whatever little toys you're playing with over here. There's a bigger crusade happening.
So
right?
insulting.
And then your main guy, your big leader, yeah, he's my kid. This is his real army behind me, and he's done hanging out with you D&D playing dorks.
Yeah, sorry. He's going to come with me.
Yeah. So they were not fans of this.
Yeah.
But the Lion, having worked with them before and kind of growing up with them, right, had a soft spot and gave them a chance to join and become Space Marines if they survived all the tests and all that. Right?
Yeah.
Not many did. It's really rough being a Space Marine, especially if you're older. It's kind of like one of those things where if your body adapts to it as you age, it's much kinder to you. An old man becoming an Astartes is brutal.
Yeah.
Luther is an old man who became an Astartes.
I think I mentioned in one of the last videos, it's kind of similar to the Spartan program from Halo, which they abducted kids for because it did not work on adults.
Same thing, right? So enough do. Luther is one of them.
Yeah.
And he names the Legion the Dark Angels, and they set across the stars with hope for one final crusade to end it all.
Fun.
A war to finally bring peace to the galaxy.
Yay. Those always end so well in every single piece of sci-fi media.
Smash cut to his first gig.
Fun.
Where a guy looks him in the eye, spits in his face, calls him an idiot, and says, I have a nuke somewhere on the ship. Good luck finding it. Yeah. Now the Lion, being ever the man of grace and tact, quickly turned the other cheek. And for no. He force-fed him his sword and then scattered his legion to find and eject the bomb.
He's like, have you ever been to Carnival, seen the sword swallowers?
You're about to find out.
You're about to find out. How do they do it?
Luther was actually the first to find it, right? And instead of chucking the thing, he sat there mulling it over until two others found it and ejected it. Now, you, dear listener and or viewer, might be wondering, but why did Luther delay? Aren't him and the Lion best friends, right?
Well, why did he delay on the whole nuke thing?
And you'd be right? He's almost like father and son, like brothers, right? But you also have to remember, before the Lion arrived, Luther was that guy.
Yeah.
Women loved him. Men feared him.
Fish wanted to be him.
Exactly.
Wait,
right?
hold on. I think I got that.
No, that's good enough. He was the apex, literally destined to unite the planet and take them to his stars. That was his destiny, right? Then he finds this kid who've claimed to have been alone for God knows how long. You bring him in, he grows up way too fast, gets way too big, gets way better than you at everything, and then knocks out all the things you were destined to do, with his only crutch being his abhorrent people skills. It doesn't matter how good of a person you are, this is gonna get under your skin.
Yeah.
Even if he's like your adoptive family. So in this moment, Luther considered that he might once again have things back on track for him. I really doubt he would have done it. However, at the end of the day, he did falter and he was not fully loyal, right? Which absolutely infuriated the Lion. We think. The Lion's got a mean poker face.
A mean poker face?
Right? And he pulls Luther aside after a bit and they have this conversation where Luther just looks distraught. Nobody can hear what's going on. They just see Luther like racked. Right? Like, and the Lion's just cold as ever, mean mugging it.
Yeah.
Like you just can't tell what's going on.
Pop poker face. Pop poker face.
And he just turns around and announces that Luther's going to lead a group of men back home.
Oh.
Right? The reason he gave was not because of the whole nuke thing, but because recruitment was falling and he wanted the best of the best back home to help with training.
You're fun.
This really shattered those who were chosen, right? Yeah. Some seemingly at random, like some didn't. They're just random.
Yeah.
No rhyme or reason, right? But they followed the order dutifully, even though they didn't understand. They didn't understand why, because if recruitment's low, why send the best back? Right? Shouldn't you send the old or those who can't fight anymore to train, right? In truth, at the time, the Lion was pretty torn.
Yeah.
He did send them back in shame, but he cared for them deeply, right? And he put them in a truly important position where if they proved to be loyal they'd really be allowed to shine. This would be one of the few things that he would continue to second guess throughout his life, right? But that's where Luther is going to get tabled. For now. Right?
For now.
Something of note with the Lion, like I mentioned, he did adjust well enough after the whole being alone forever bit, but not fully. He's not the most sociable of all the Primarchs.
Yeah. I think, I remember in the 20 Primarchs summarized, you mentioned he was not at all good with people.
No.
Not one bit.
And the reasons are even more than just being dunked in chaos and murder for his entire childhood. Right? He has some painfully high standards for himself, even as a Primarch, right? A few of his brothers can even meet to the bar he sets for himself, right? On top of that, he's one of the few Primarchs to have a firm grip on what he actually is and what they actually are, right? Saying in one of the books that we are as the Emperor made us, weapons created for this bloody time. And as weapons, we can ask nothing more of him than that. He understood that deep down they were nothing but like weird warp weapons, which would definitely change how you see you and your family.
Yeah.
Right? So he always kind of kept them at arm's length because of that, right? He's also a bit of a brooder. Again, grew up alone. He learned to be very self-reliant.
Yeah.
So when he encounters a problem, he won't voice it unless you ask him to. Preferring to kind of work it through in his own head and kind of examine it that way.
Just kind of sit in the corner and go,
And then once he has solved the problem, he kind of gives orders without explaining himself, like Big E. And then sometimes he'll keep things hidden from his own units, a lot like Big E.
Yeah.
Right?
So, like father, like son.
And the last thing that makes him less than sociable is he is a bit unsettling to be around. But not in a bad way, just like he has an abnormally strong presence. Right? To explain, being around any Primarch is like an awe-inspiring thing. In one of the books, Horus walks into a room full of Astartes, and it's a whole thing. He's flanked by Terminators, a massive guard regiment. It's like the president suddenly walked into a Walmart.
Terminators like the skeleton robots?
No, Terminator armor. It's like the best Space Marine armor possible.
Okay.
Right?
Just wondering, because...
Yeah, it feels like the president suddenly walked into like a Walmart surrounded by like the Secret Service and the army, right? Nobody's sure what to do except stare. Right?
It's like...
Everyone's like, what should we do right now, right?
Is that Bo Jiden right there?
I know. And then the lion walks in after, alone. And every Dark Angel looks at him with something that looks like fear, before slowly, with each step he takes, more and more people in the room drop to their knees just as a gut feeling.
Yeah, just like, I need to do this.
Until the only people left standing are him and Horus. So he just reeks of nobility.
Yeah.
With like a twinge of something darker underneath, right? It's like this like air of, oh my God, you're very important, and oh my God, I don't want to piss you off.
Something going on.
Yeah, right? It's like a man born, like truly, like somebody born to rule walked into the room, right? And there's that twinge of fear. Even Space Marines describe being around the lion like being prey before a predator.
Yeah.
Space Marines.
Yes, Space Marines.
Right?
The huge guys.
A lot of people like to say Leman Russ may act like an animal, but deep down he's like an awesome and brilliant person. It's kind of like a rough exterior to hide the gem beneath, right?
I mean...
But the lion is the opposite. He puts out this air of nobility, this air of royalty and superiority, but underneath it, backing it all, is a real monster.
I mean, this is a kid who grew up just like slaughtering monsters.
Leman Russ is a man pretending to be a beast. The lion is a beast pretending to be a man.
Yeah.
So, because of all that, he'll never relate to the common man, and that's fine by him. He knows what he is. He knows what he was created to do, and he's just going to do it every time. Right? I tell you all that to keep in mind the man he was pre-heresy. Right? Think of it as a fire. The heresy is going to be gasoline.
Ooh, gasoline. Dame más gasoline.
Dame más gasolina.
This is probably not good for his psyche or anybody else around him.
You'll see. The heresy happens. Horus furrows his brow, and the universe is ravaged by war and warp storms.
Yeah.
He goes... he frowns, and things get worse.
His frowny face, his anger.
And the lion actually found out kind of late. He was kind of late to the party because he was really far away.
Yeah.
Right?
He was off doing stuff and things.
No, Horus gave him orders really far away that would tie him up.
Oh, he pre-planned this.
So he could not get back fast enough. He was tied up in war.
Yeah, it's just
this
like, I don't know.
Pissed him off, but he managed to cool off. He managed to cool off and think, since I can't throw my full might against Taurus, I just need to outmaneuver him, right? So he sent a group of small elites deep into the heart of the enemy to secure these things called siege engines that the Emperor has built for one of his many, many wars, right? Because the lion knew that Horus didn't want space or planets. He wanted Big E dead.
Yeah.
Right? The only way to do that is to siege Earth. Terra is what it's called, right? Which is heavily defended by his brothers.
Yeah.
So he figured, if I can't get there fast enough to secure it, and I can't get there fast enough to curb stomp Horus, I will slow him down. Right? because without these engines, Horus's plans are stalled.
Yeah.
Right?
You can't siege if you don't have siege engines.
Exactly. So he goes and does it, and his covert op is a success, meeting with one of his brothers, after dealing with all the stuff that happened out there, to brief them on the events. Where the Lion told him about the engines and did something really unusual for himself. He shared his feelings.
Aww.
Yeah, he opened up. He told his brother that while he accepted Horus being chosen at the time to like lead the Imperium's wars, he always felt like Horus only got the position because he was found first, right? Now that he's a traitor, the Emperor's going to need a new guy, right? Yeah. And he genuinely thought that he was the best for the job. So I want to ensure that. I need you to vote for me, right? Basically, like when the time comes, please
vouch for me.
Yeah, please vouch for me because, and this isn't like out of a power grab or anything.
This is just like I want to be proud. I want Dad to be proud of me.
No. He just genuinely assessed his brothers and said, "I would be the best for this task," and he's not wrong. Like he'd be very good at the task, right? But again, the Lion has a very mean poker face.
Yes.
And he's not the easiest to read. This is a time when nobody knew who was traitor yet. The Lions had, like, the dice
it was a very confusing time.
So for trust's sake, his brother said, okay, fine. But to do that, I'm going to need your siege engines until the time of the vote comes. Think of it as a trust fall. Yeah. I keep the engines, you get my vote, we all win.
Yeah.
Right? The Lion doesn't like this very much, but he agrees on one condition. And he asks his brother to ensure they're put to good use. His brother smiles and assures him that they will be put to the best possible uses and help us win this terrible war.
Which brother did he do this?
So with that, the Lion agrees and transfers all the siege engines over to his brother and confidant, Perturabo. For those of you that don't know, Perturabo is the most effective man-child in all of 40k and in deep with chaos.
Turbo.
Yep. He had all the worst jobs and it kind of tainted his view of the Emperor. So the second Horus said, hey, I want to do yes. I'm in immediately, right? But at this time, again, nobody knew. It was chaotic.
It was chaotic. It was a confusing time.
So, for those of you keeping score, knife number 3 in the Lion's back, right? The heresy keeps on doing its thing. The Lion manages to win a ton of battles, though.
Yeah.
And manages to mortally wound the traitor Primarch Conrad Curze and snuffs out a quarter of his legion's fleet in the process.
Single-handedly?
The Lion's very good at his gig.
God damn.
In the chaos of the battle, though, Curze manages to escape and wreaks havoc all over the Lion's ship.
I mean, Curze seems like a havoc kind of wreaking guy.
Yeah. Again, for those of you who don't know, he's the Primarch of the Night Lords. He's one of the Lion's brothers, and he's all about sneaking around and being a menace.
He's the evil Dracula type going.
That's exactly what he does, constantly screwing with the Lion for so long that he eventually stops everything he's doing and searches his ship for 16 weeks. And he can't find him. What the hell? This guy's a hide and seek champ.
He's venting.
That's basically what was happening.
They were playing Among Us.
Yeah, and so while he's tied up playing whack-a-mole with a serial killer.
Among Us.
The outside world's getting worse.
Yes.
Warp storms are raging harder and harder, eventually darkening the Imperium and kind of tearing it in half. Just massive storms.
Big fun.
He eventually has to call his game of hide and seek quits, and he has to lead his fleet back to Guilliman to regroup, or else he's going to be lost in the storms forever.
Yeah.
Right? When he meets Guilliman, he finds that he's afraid that it's too late. The Emperor, Guilliman fears that the Emperor has already fallen, since he can no longer see the light of Big E. You know, when he's on that chair, serves as a lighthouse, you can see it. Warp storms darken that.
Yeah.
So you can't see it. They couldn't see it, right? So, assuming the worst, Guilliman starts this thing called Imperium Secundus. You can figure out what that is. It's basically to keep the Emperor's good work and bring vengeance back to the traitors in a second Imperium, right? To avoid it looking like a power grab, he puts Sanguinius in charge of like overall kind of what the Emperor was, right? And then he puts the Lion as their version of a war master, right? Splitting a lot of the power away from himself until he's just a bureaucrat. Yeah. Which nobody would disagree with that because Guilliman's just the perfect bureaucrat.
Yeah, Guilliman's he's doing what he's doing.
Exactly. So it's like you see that, you're like, I don't like this, but it's not, he doesn't seem to be like Caesar crossing the river Rubicon.
Yeah. He's not traitoring. He's not, and he's not power grabbing.
Again, things were tense. Those were real fear, right? And so things kind of start getting some order beneath the three brothers, right? And then right on time, Curze pops out of the ship
Curze.
and starts terrorizing Guilliman's home planet. Yeah, the Lion is beyond infuriated, and he continues playing Wile E. Coyote while Curze plays Roadrunner. Right. Basically, what's basically happening is the Lion constantly running after him, and Curze going meep meep, and then
Meep, meep.
throwing a flayed corpse at him. It's the most demented game of hide and seek.
Meep meep.
Yeah, exactly. Eventually, with Bobby G's help, they corner Curze, and Curze then proceeds to reveal, I've rigged this place to blow up. And he drops an entire cathedral on them. And gets away again.
He literally is like a mustache twirling Dracula.
I went into this researching the Lion. Curze earned a bit of my respect.
Curze is a little bit of a goblin. He's like... You won't catch me this time, Lion L. Jonson.
That's basically what's going on. And the Primarchs, the Primarchs barely survived this. Because again, this is a chapel in 40k. It's not like, my local church was dropped on me. It was like the new...
This is like a city.
It was like the Empire State Building fell on my forehead.
Yeah.
Right? They barely survive, but this locks it in for the Lion. Stabbed in the back by Luther. Stabbed in the back by Horus. Stabbed by Perturabo. Literally stabbed several times by Curze. Dad's probably dead. Imperium's gone. Homeworld is somewhere.
He's
right?
stressed out.
He says, I can't fix any of that, but it's my fault that goddamn slippery eel's running around, and I'm gonna wring his neck. So he hyper fixates on just Curze, chasing him for 2 straight years. Running on the barest of clues. And this time he bumps into Angron's Legion and Lorgar's Legion and beats them both. While not focused on them.
He said, get the hell out of my way. I've got a mission.
He's solely just trying to get his hands around Curze's neck. Right? It literally consumes him to the point where he's ignoring the rest of his duties. He's a proper war master. And he's out here playing whack-a-mole.
No, I want to get that guy. I want to get him.
But to his credit, he's in his element. It shows. He was a hunter as a kid, and now he's a hunter again. Over time, he's slowly putting together the patterns of Curze's shenanigans, right? And zeroes in on his exact location, which is back on Guilliman's homeworld.
Ran him for a full loop.
Yep.
Ran him for a full loop.
Right. It's at this point he comes back and it's obvious to him. He sees it. He's been tracking him for so long. He understands this movement. Right. Yeah. But Guilliman doesn't believe him. He's like, "This is."
What do you mean? He's here?
I would have figured that out. This is my own yard. No, this is my own yard. I grew up in these 4 walls. I would know if he was here.
Yeah.
Right. And the Lion's like, "I've been at this for 2 years.
He's here.
He's here.
Yeah.
We're not playing this game. He's here." Sanguinius breaks the tie, but he makes the Lion promise not to go too far and no orbital bombardment.
No orbital no orbital bombardment. No, bad Lion.
The Lion promises to play nice. He then proceeds to place Guilliman's yard under martial law.
Playing nice.
Unleashing his most terrifying units, the Dreadwing.
Playing nice.
Who only the Dreadwing. They only show up when complete extermination is the goal. Like, they're not there to win the war. They're there to ground it all to dust.
Dreadwing.
The Dreadwing. Right? And then, on top of all that, he lightly bombards the planet. It's like a little bit of... Right?
Guilliman's planet can have a few orbital bombardments as a treat.
Yeah. He said, "I will deal with the consequences later. All that matters is I catch Curze."
Ask for forgiveness, not permission.
Exactly, which is really unfortunate for Curze because the Lion catches him and then beats the brakes off him.
Sweet revenge.
And I love this because the Lion is like furious. He's asking, "Why would you do this?" And Curze just says, "Why not?"
Why not, man?
He actually makes some cogent points. Like, he does. He explains that it's just in his nature to do this, right? Like, it's in... Like, you joke, but, like, the Primarchs take after their nature.
He's literally doing the Joker speech.
Kind of.
This is what I am, Batman.
Kind of, but he's got a point. He's got a point. He says, this is who we are. Gilliman's back there filing out his W-2... Because that's what he was made to do. I was made to terrorize. And by God, I'll do it. Which, really pisses off the Lion. Because the way he looks at it is, yes, you've had visions of the worst thing possible. Yes, you've been listening to chaos all your life. They've been tempting me since birth.
Yeah. If I can
And
get past
I
this,
held
you
firm.
can.
You're a weak-willed bitch.
Yeah.
And then he proceeds to break his spine and bring him in crippled in chains. Which, disrespectful. He's paralyzed. You broke his back. Why'd you chain him up?
He baned him.
Yeah, what do you think he's going to do? Flop out of the courtroom? Like, just needless. But,
Well, I mean, Batman crawled out of that weird pit thing. You never know. Curze could slip his way out.
To be fair, 2 years of chasing him? Oh, yeah, you better be sure you're tied up. So he brought him before his brothers to stand trial. And Curze keeps being mustache twirling.
Gobbler.
He manages to wedge knives between the brothers with cutting words, calling Guilliman the avenging bean counter.
Oh, so that's not a nickname that...
No, that's in canon.
That's in canon.
The
That is
Avenging
not.
Bean-
That is not a. You've said that before, and I thought that was a community name. That's in canon.
Hilarious.
That's in.
Like I said,
canon.
Curze earned so many points when researching this.
The Avenging Bean Counter is a canon nickname.
Yeah, which miffs them. But also on top of all of that, when tensions are really high, Curze also reveals, you won't guess who Orbital bombarded. And this pisses the Lion off. He immediately steps forward to kill him right then and there.
I'm sure Guilliman was not happy about this.
No. He steps forward ready to kill him right then and there. Screw due process.
Yeah.
Screw due process,
What's the justice system?
right? I know, right? And Sanguinius manages to stop him, right? And Guilliman, furious. Because he grew up here. This is his home.
He
And
said,
you
"What?
bombarded it.
Bombarded
He
it?
shattered his favorite sword before his knee and banished him.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
The
Fully.
sword can have a few bends as a treat.
No, shattered. No, not bend.
Ooh.
Shattered. Yeah.
Like that. Okay, not enough of a Lord of the Rings nerd to know this, but the one sword that the elves have to reforge to give to Aragorn, whatever, I can't remember what it's called. It's got a fancy name.
Yeah.
Same dealio.
Same deal.
Yeah.
So he absolutely shatters it and sends him off in banishment. Right. Fully alone, he has a lot of time to think. And that beast that's been bubbling beneath the Lion is starting to show.
Yeah.
A lot. Right. And before he sets out in banishment, he realizes something. Something clicks. Right. See, the Lion had been told that by Curze of his own, because Curze overshares. So he told the Lion that I'm gonna die by an assassin my dad sends. Not sure why he felt like that's something you need to share, but whatever. Right? That's what he shared, right? And the Lion was thinking through this and was like, hold on a moment. He's gonna die by an assassin my dad sends. For my dad to send an assassin, he needs to be alive. So he immediately teleported back and was like, wait, don't kill him. I will personally take care of him. And everyone's ready for a fight. They're like,
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
You're gonna
And then,
stab him.
Again, Sanguinius has visions of the future too. And he's like, no, wait. He's right. For him to die that way, Dad has to be alive.
Sanguinius just said, "Let him cook. Let him cook."
Yeah, no, Sanguinius said, let him cook.
Let him cook.
Yeah, right? So they realize...
Gilliman's in the corner is just like, who's letting him cook?
Yeah. So Sanguinius, they share that and they're like, okay, so we can't kill him because that might make the future worse.
Yeah.
So let's just leave it. If he dies by assassin by Dad still lives.
Yeah.
That's cool, right? Spoiler alert, he dies by assassin by Dad.
Yeah, I remember this.
Right?
It's just I knew this.
No, but the Lion steps forward and takes on Curze. Curze being Curze escapes. Gonna skip a bunch. The Lion is fully alone. Banished by his brothers with the full weight of the heresy on his shoulders. Right? It all hits him. And he thinks through all the actions he's taken, right?
Yeah.
The betrayal, the lies, the isolation, it just squashes him.
Yeah.
And
He's not having a good time.
And on top of all of that, his legion is kind of really, really terrified of him. So they will not speak their mind. So when he's trying to decide what move to make next,
They won't properly advise him.
they won't properly advise him. It's to the point where he has to call a meeting of all of his wings. The Dread Wing. All of them are
Are there
assembled.
any other wings? What other wings?
There's quite a few. We're not going to list them all now.
Oh, damn.
And he assembles them, right, to have a meeting. And they arrive in the room, and they're waiting for him to sit on his throne, and he just doesn't show up. And eventually they're like, well, the meeting has to start.
If the teacher doesn't show up within 5 minutes, we're legally allowed to leave.
No, they were more like, we need to teach ourselves algebra. So they started having the meeting.
Sorry,
right?
I can't think of algebra anymore. That one Kunk on Earth clip. The most The most Arabic sounding one of all. Algebra.
Yeah. So they decide to have this meeting alone, right, without the Lion, and they're talking freely because they don't think he's not there. Right?
He's listening in the corner, isn't he?
No. He's not there. They have this meeting, and they finally get to voice their opinions, right? And then the chair that looked empty, he appears in.
He wasn't in the corner.
He was just there. And so he was observing this meeting because it's gotten to the point where the only way he can hear what his own Legion thinks he should do is by spying on them.
Just let them do what they want. Spy on them.
No, he has to spy on them.
Which I'm sure only further damages his reputation with
The
Legion.
fires of paranoia, distrust, and fury are just ablaze.
Yeah.
Right? It's all like that monster's under such a very thin veneer.
Yeah.
Right?
The beast is coming out.
Basically. Which brings us to a fun fact. Not many traitor Primarchs have their homeworld still around, right? This is because, as far as the Lion was concerned, the traitor Primarchs were all plants. You can cut the stem all you want, but if you want to stop it from growing again, you have to rip out the root.
And so
since he was banished and he couldn't be there with his brothers, he thought, how can I distract them from going to Terra? End all their worlds.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm actually, thinking about it, I'm sure he did Angron a favor. Angron can't have fond memories of the...
Oh, yeah, Angron was pumped. And that's kind of what happened, where he did this expecting them to turn around in fury like the Loyalists would have. And they were like, we'd rather see Dad down.
Yeah.
Right? But he tried.
He still tried.
They were just too consumed with chaos to care at all. And by the time he made it to Terra, it was too late.
Yeah.
Horus is dead. For all intents and purposes, so is the Emperor. He failed, and he returns to Caliban with his head held low, hoping that Luther had at least succeeded where he failed. Told you to remember that name.
Luther.
Yeah. See, when he was sent back, the whole recruitment thing was a lie, like we mentioned, right? But it wasn't in shame. Apparently, the Lion knew that his homeworld apparently had a major chaos infestation.
Yeah.
And to stop this from growing, he sent the best man for the job, his right-hand man, Luther.
And his right-hand man.
Yeah, as a kind of...
Pump.
Yeah, it's a kind of secret way for him to prove himself, right? Luther, he knew that if Luther could step up to the challenge, he was solid. And those 500 that went back with him were some of the best, right? But the Lion, being slightly paranoid at the time, did not tell any of them they were going back to a world infested with chaos.
So they just hopped back to it?
And they went back home in shame, feeling like failures, constantly hearing about the Lion's victories, knowing they'd never be a part of them again. This is a perfect playground for chaos to take a hold of them. And it did, converting all those 500 and Luther himself to a champion of chaos. So when the Lion came home, he was immediately greeted with an entire planet that was prepared to kill him on sight, bombarding his entire fleet. This infuriates him. He's been fighting from the furthest end of the galaxy back to home, eradicating chaos everywhere he went and dealing with unimaginable loss, only to find that it was in his own backyard.
He's had a go of it.
Straw, meat camel.
Okay, straw? A little bit more than straw. I mean, considering his Primarch, it's got to be a little bit more than straw, right? Because otherwise, it'd be a planet full of straw.
There's a lot of straw.
It's a lot of straw.
The Lion snaps. And showing his consistency, he orders bombardment of his own homeworld and teleports down there to kill Luther with his bare hands.
Oh.
The battle that ensues is massive.
Yeah.
Sure, the Lion's a Primarch, and that's a lot, but Luther has all of Chaos looking at him. Like before Abaddon was that guy, Luther was that guy.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a lateral throw strength-wise.
Fun.
They level castles and they fight for actual hours with the planet slowly cracking beneath them. Because the entire time, the Dark Angels are following orders and bombarding the planet. And Chaos is helping Luther by throwing warp storm after warp storm after warp storm at the planet.
This poor planet.
Yeah, so it's just cracking and heaving under the weight of this battle, right? Finally, the Lion comes out on top, but everything's taking its toll.
Yeah.
After all the lies, losses, betrayal, the last thing he wants to do is strike down his right-hand man, his adopted family, one of the first people he ever met. So he hesitated for once, not cutting Luther down. Chaos has no sense of honor.
Yeah, so they just went,
They fired a Hail Mary psychic blast, seriously wounding the Lion. And after that massive blast happens, it's almost like the veil is lifted.
Yeah.
And Luther can see what he's truly done and how much he's actually failed. Like, it finally all clicks, like, oh my God.
What have I done?
I just deeped this.
Yeah.
I was supposed to kill this chaos stuff. Wow.
He has the Darth Vader at the end of Star Wars 3 moment of just like, where's Padme?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So this shattered his sanity, and he collapsed right next to the lion's body. Right? As the planet around them succumbed to all the damage.
And then they had the Naruto and Sasuke moment where they're holding hands while they die.
No. The planet succumbed to all the damage from the storms and the bombardment, leaving it little more than an asteroid. The Dark Angels then descend on the monastery, preparing to find the traitor legion and back up the lion, only to find just Luther alone. Repeating over and over and over again, the lion has been carried away by the watchers in the dark, and one day he'll be back to forgive me for my sins. No sign of the army Luther had, no sign of the lion. All that's left is this rock and the original monastery on top, and this guy just uttering the same thing.
Well,
fearing more betrayal, his legion became hyper-vigilant.
Yeah. Almost too vigilant.
A healthy amount.
A healthy amount for how much they've been betrayed, yeah.
I'd say it's reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah, they turned that asteroid into their floating base called the Tower of Angels.
The Tower of Angels.
So hard.
That's a great name.
Or
right
the
there.
Rock.
The
right?
Rock.
And they scoured...
Douanye?
Stop it. They scoured all records of the event that happened on that planet, vowing only to hunt down every single one of those fallen angels, which is the ones that turned to chaos, no matter where they are. They fixated just like Dad did, right? They're very secretive nowadays. To give you a sense of scale, nobody outside the angels knows that Caliban is gone.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody inside the angels, except for the innermost circle of angels, knows that deep within the rock lies Luther.
Oh.
Muttering the same thing over and over again.
Oh, he's still chilling on that rock, just like...
No. They imprisoned him deep within it. They turned it into like a floating fortress.
Ah.
They imprisoned him deep within it, and they torture him to use him as like a weird oracle.
Okay.
And he has 3 modes.
They just cow prod him and he just spouts oracles?
Oh, no.
Okay, cow prod is like a simplification. I'm sure if we went into it, we'd get demonetized.
No.
Or we'd have to put this Patreon video up.
Yeah, no, they for Luther, they look at the list of Geneva Convention's requirements for treating prisoners, and they act like it's a checklist. And they just go...
They're more like guidelines.
No, it's a checklist, because they knock them all out.
Oh.
Yeah. And he has kind of 3 modes. He's either... Because, again, he's so tainted by chaos, occasionally he can kind of see what's going on. So he occasionally does snitch on his other 4 fallen angels, right? Or he's muttering the same sentence over and over again, with the lion coming back to forgive him for his sins, and being taken by the watchers in the dark.
Yeah.
Or he's begging the current chapter master to kill him.
Please let this stop.
No, please just kill me. Please,
Yeah.
Please, I'm so sorry. Right? And so that nobody but the innermost circle, basically the guys who run the Dark Angels, know about Luther's existence, right?
Yeah.
And beyond that, only one man knows that in the deepest depths of the rock sleeps the lion.
He's still there.
Fully healed from his battle with Luther, waiting for when he'll be needed most to rise up. For even though he's a corpse on the golden throne, the Emperor still sees all. He's the only person who knows the lion's still kicking. Yeah. And that's where the story had stopped for a while. With his legion left paranoid, scouring the universe, and nobody really knowing of his existence. There are rumors, obviously,
Nobody
that the lion...
really knowing, I assume, what the Dark Angels are doing in general.
Yeah. They're very secretive. Like, nobody even knows their home planet's gone, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for sure nobody knows about Luther.
Like, what are they doing?
For sure nobody knows about the lion, right? Until now.
Until now.
Yeah. Times move forward, like I said. The Rock is...
As time does.
Yeah, today, the Rock is one of the most fortified places in the galaxy. It's up there with Terra when it comes to defenses, right?
I mean, yeah. Have you looked at the Rock lately?
Jesus Christ. They were very paranoid after what happened, and so they added this super crazy, insane shield that basically is unbreakable. Right?
Fun.
Like, it's one of the most well-defended ships, period, right? And even that's not enough. The universe is split in half, this time permanently, it's not like a warp storm dividing it. It's like a crack.
There's like a crack. In
Like
the
there's a
universe.
crack in reality.
I've seen the
basically, right?
maps. It's like huge.
Chaos is taking over world after world with new weapons and new demons trying to become chaos gods.
Fun.
Right? The Tyranids are eating everything in sight, and they're currently locked in combat with the orcs.
Fun.
And whoever wins that, by the way, is going to come out stronger than ever. The orcs themselves are forming massive armies, basically all uniting.
Very fun.
The Necrons are up from their Mimir.
Mimir.
And the Eldar are actually uniting for the first time ever. Chaos Primarchs are popping up left, right, and center, and they're stronger than ever.
Fun.
With Angron actually being unkillable right now.
Actually being unkillable?
You could kill him and he'll be back in 8 days and 8 hours, if I remember correctly. It's a whole thing. Chaos gods have lucky numbers. Corn's is 8, so he'll be back in 8 hours. 8 days, 8 hours, and 8 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Corn watched 8 crazy nights and internalized.
basically, right?
Yeah.
And the Tau may have created their own god through just collective belief.
The Tau created a god?
Again, that's how it works. Collective belief will create a god eventually, and they believe in this thing called the greater good.
So they created the greater good.
Again, but Tau don't have like a presence in the warp.
They don't?
They don't have as deep of a presence as everything else. So it's really weird that this is maybe happening. Possibly, we're not sure, right? Humanity is nothing.
Yeah.
They're left being able to do little more than rage against the dying of their emperor's light, right? And the only thing keeping it all together is Guilliman, their tax guy. They basically have H&R Block holding together an entire country. Yeah. It's not what he was meant to do. He's good. He's very good.
He's not
but
that
this
good.
isn't what
This
he
is
was
too
built
big
for
him.
and he can't be everywhere and do everything. The only thing he wants is for death, and nobody will let him have it. All right? So, which is why, when things seem their most grimdark, we've heard rumors that the Lion has decided to wake up, which could single-handedly turn the tide of things.
He said, wakey, 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 it's time for school.
I'm so curious because the main thing is, again, only the Emperor and the Watchers in the Dark know he's sleeping. So his legion might react like, oh God, Skinwalker, that's not him.
Yeah, and just like do another like betrayal.
But I doubt it because, again, that Lion has that presence about him. It'd be hard for Chaos to mimic that.
It'd be like a feeling in the gut. Like,
Yeah, they'd see
oh
that, they'd be
God,
like,
this is him.
Oh, that is Dad.
That is
I
Dad.
haven't felt that forever.
He came back.
Yeah, exactly, right? And then, again, Guilliman and the Lion aren't on best terms. If you remember, the last time they saw each other, Guilliman broke his sword and banished him. Right?
Gilliman's planet can have a few orbital bombardments.
As a treat.
As a treat.
So right now, it looks like the Lion is the next Primarch to return, and all we can do is wait and see. All we know is the angels are on the back foot, with the rock itself actually almost falling. The only reason the rock didn't fall, despite being one of the most secure places ever, is because Chaos is like toddlers. They can't share. So the bickering wound up giving them just enough to survive. Right? Something has woken the Lion. We're not sure what it is, but all we know is he's currently beelining it right for Angron.
He's pissed at Angron for some reason?
The state of the universe is a lot happening. Angron is a very big beacon right now. He's a very...
Oh, yeah, because they all have, like, the weird, like, warp things, and I'm sorry.
No, Angron's just being an overachiever at the moment.
Oh, I see.
He's
being the main villain.
He swung his sword and cracked a planet. Like, Angron's doing great. I'm vastly oversimplifying, by the way, but that's kind of basically what happened.
He's being the main villain right now.
Yeah. So he's charging right for Angron, and it sounds like it's a very changed man. The only quote we have from him right now is, "I failed my father. I failed my brothers. I will not fail my sons."
So he's kind of reinvigorated. Only kind of.
Yes.
Only kind of.
It seems like he's been thinking, and he's internalized what he did wrong and what he didn't.
And he's like, I'm not going to do it again.
All we know is it's going to change things.
Yeah.
Which is really cool, actually. Right? And so that brings this episode to an end. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, remember to vote between the 4 options we gave you.
What were they again?
It was the Guard, a snapshot of the current era, Chaos, and Sanguinius and his Blood Angels.
Sanguinius.
Those are the 4 options. Top 3 get made every time.
The Castlevania man.
Please go over to patreon.com and support the show. If you can at the moment, just remember, like, comment, and subscribe to help us continue this goal. I know we can hit 10K by the summer. we are making crazy progress.
Yes, and it's all thanks to you guys. You guys are helping us shatter our goals. It's insane.
So thank you a lot so much, and we will see you next week. First on Patreon, and then on every other platform.